My Shrek Hard Techno Rave got almost 90 million views across all platforms, even The Weeknd liked it, but it did not start that way at all. The opening Shrek video totally failed, performance was trash, I got like 180 likes for a couple of weeks of work, but I got pissed in a good way, jumped into Unreal and turned Shrek into hard rave techno stuff. Today I'm going to show you how this swamp nightmare actually works behind the scenes. This whole Shrek story is actually a trilogy. On the screen you can see them: Road to Techno, Forever Rave and Rave Until Dawn. One of the hardest parts was simply increasing the timeline every time. Road to Techno is only about 13 seconds long. I was basically testing the format and people surprisingly loved it. Forever Rave is around 45 seconds, the most viral part of all three, and I think this is the main one. And Rave Until Dawn is about 1 minute 16. Lots of new characters, same vibe, but way harder to keep it dynamic. Each new part had to be longer, but still feels like one continuous loop and not get boring. This whole thing is Shrek universe plus internet meme DNA. Almost every character has some reference inside it, but we'll get to that as we go. So we start with the first part, Road to Techno. I mixed two ideas. First, a cinematic Unreal Engine shot, a POV from old Chevy or GMC driving into an endless horizon while a giant stone golem walked past the sunset. Second, I wanted to make a real music video where dance and camera movements sync to the track, so I was browsing SoundCloud and found a track that gave me full bass face. That became the energy for the whole project. Originally the road and swamp has nothing to do with Shrek, it was just a POV road idea, like a concept. But then I realized I keep jumping from ideas to ideas, so I committed to one universe, dropped Duloc into that world, and it became Shrek Road to Techno. So what about characters? I created 20 unique characters plus 2 cars and 1 bike. I count vehicles as characters too because they have rig and personality. The first part features the main Shrek cast: Shrek, Fiona, Pinocchio, Gingy and Donkey. It repeats the vibe from Shrek 2 when they are traveling to far far away in a carriage, but here they do that in swampy GMC pickup instead. So let's start with Shrek. This was honestly one of the hardest 3D model in terms of matching the likeness that I've done recently. I did quite a lot of revisions. I started from a model I made back in 2021 for another Shrek video that was more cyberpunk, and at the beginning I could not match likeness at all, so it looked way worse than you can ever imagine.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
For the first video I gave him more original Shrek outfit, and then I made him a rave version of his clothing. He also wears Prada as a little homage to the original movies, where they always twist real brand names into Shrek style. Shrek model is rigged as MetaHuman as most of the characters in my videos, but not everyone, so we'll get to that later. What I love the most that it was Halloween and people actually dressed as Shrek Hard Techno version, which is crazy. Fiona was way more straightforward. She's built on MetaHuman base with the red tinted hair that I reused from another MetaHuman to speed things up. Her outfit comes from ready-made Marvelous designer patterns. I just adapted the shape to her body, fixed the UVs and textured everything to match the hard techno vibe. Donkey started from an old Shrek video game model as a base, but it was so low poly and flat, so I basically had to rebuild him. I smoothed the mesh, made new textures, created a fresh rig, and since Unreal supports Groom, I gave him a custom fur in Yeti for Maya, imported that into Unreal, adding a collar and eyeglasses instantly gave him his techno look. So I mean, here we are, the cinematic donkey is ready to crash the scene. Pinocchio is a fully custom-made advanced skeleton rig, And the good part is that his emotions are kind of wooden, mostly mouth opening and eye rolls, which fits him perfectly, but the fun part, it's in the design. I gave him parody headphones, like a Shrek style version of Beats. On his feet he has a tall monolith style boots, and I put one stocking on one leg as a small reference to that moment in the movie where he gets exposed with the women's underwear. He is the DJ in the rave because in one of the Shrek bonus materials he was also DJing, so it felt quite right to bring that back. Gingy is small but hits hard. I built him as a custom character and pushed him into a darker techno tones, then gave him glowing red eyes to add more attitude, so small body, big energy. Sugar is made kinda in the same way, just with a softer look and green eyes, so together they feel like a matching rave couple. Now that the main cast is out of the way, this is the moment where we get into Forever Rave and the club itself. I kept the outside shape of Duloc, but inside I redesigned it completely. No normal floors, no rooms, I wanted it to feel like one tall vertical space like a real rave hall. The whole club is built around DMX lighting. DMX is basically what you see in the real clubs, moving heads, strobes, lasers, all that controlled by system. Honestly, it was one of the hardest part, just because there's quite a ton of controllers and interfaces just to make it all work. And I did not do any automatic magic, I animated it by hand just because I didn't have quite enough time to research. And I also made a separate platform for Pinocchio above everyone, so he's literally DJing over the whole crowd. Alright, so speaking of animations, I use Rococo motion capture CU to record my animations, then I go to either Cascadeur or Maya to clean them up, and then I put it on specific character in Unreal Engine, and this is how it goes. Pretty straightforward and simple, sometimes not, because it depends on how hard these animations are. Some of them are mutual, some of them like duo animations, which requires synchronizing between two characters. So it always depends what kind of animations I do. For most of them I use these Rococo Suite and Motion Capture Studio. I like the way it makes my work a little bit off of the computer, so I have to take on a suit, do some crazy movements, then get back to computer to do the rest of the cleanup. So it actually requires some, not maybe like acting skills, but at the same time some kind of a performance outside of the computer, which is great because always sitting in front of the computer makes you crazy. So this is one of the ways to get out of there and do some action inspired stuff. So I'd love to continue working on animations using motion capture. Even though AI is pretty close to us, there's some kind of a performance vibe and acting vibe in this, so I like to stick with it. That's pretty how I made animations. Now the club gets crowded and everything gets harder. Speaking of crowd was one of the biggest boss fight in the whole project, just because I was researching what can I do in terms of like spawning multiple entities of characters. And I figured out there's a plugin for Maya, pretty old one, called Golem Crowd, and they got acquired by Autodesk. So, and in this transition period, they've been giving away free temporary licenses. So I just dropped them an email asking for one, and they gave me until August, which was pretty much enough time to complete the whole project. And then the most interesting part. In Maya, it works perfectly. It was designed for Maya, but they've tried to make an Unreal version. It was kinda not it, because I was getting around 1 or 2 FPS on the scene in the real time, and I couldn't work. literally. I had to hide the whole crowd, work on an empty scene without crowd, and then I turned it back on right before the render time. It still gave me some weird artifacts, but somehow I managed to create the second part with the golem crowd, thankfully. For the third part, I switched the whole crowd pipeline. I bought a plugin called Overcrowd. It actually what saved me. Even though it was pretty, in early stage of development, it has pretty great performance on the scene, so I can work on the scene finally without hiding the crowd. It was kind of a relief right after what's been in the second part. So we're getting back to characters. Big Bad Wolf was a real boss fight. He's still a MetaHuman rig, but the proportions are super cartoon. Long nose, weird fingers, and a ton of fur. When I swapped the mesh onto the rig, he looked completely cursed at first, but after I painted the textures and built the fur in Yeti, he finally became a real badass. I kept his classic movie outfit, just turned it into a rave version. Red Hood is here as a small story detail. She's basically a grown-up version, so she can actually be in a club, and I paired her with Wolf to continue their little storyline. And right next to her is a Moon Boy, my grown-up version of Logo Kid, sitting on the crescent covered in white paint as a nod to the original look. Now the Tom and Jerry vibes, Puss in Boots and the Three Blind Mice. Puss is a custom advanced skeleton rig because he needs a proper tail setup, and I upgraded his look with more modern boots, a harness and a custom sword detail. I also split his fur into a few separate groom systems, head, body and whiskers. The mice are custom made from scratch, but I didn't over-design them. I wanted them to stay close to the original movie vibe, same dancing, always looking in different directions. And here's the character I made out of comments. AI mascot. I kept seeing this wave of people confidentially calling everything AI, even though it's clearly CGI, and it's pure rage bait for every designer right now. So I've decided to turn that feeling into a character and made him alive. AI mascot is basically a Dulek mascot but slightly modified. The clown face is for that fake confidence people have when they calling everything it's AI like the 100% no. I don't want to hate people that not that deep into design and video, but the confidence is crazy, so... Alright, so speaking of how I make face animations, I just use my iPhone and True Depth camera and the app called Live Link. So you record your facial expressions into archive video with depth, send it to Unreal. It's gonna process it, and as the output you'll get pretty good face animations. And only thing you need to tweak is eyes, if you need to tweak that. I wanted my characters to look at certain directions, so that's the only thing I probably tweaked. Other than that, that's just iPhone and my emotions, and that's it. And one character was kind of a weird technical trick. Magic mirror. I sculpted the face, turned it into a MetaHuman, made the body basically invisible by painting opacity map, and then I rendered the face animation as a video and used it as a texture on the mirror itself. So his screen face is basically a real render playing on the mirror. So we're going to Farquaad and his guards. This Farquaad is more masculine than in the movie. And at first, he looked super weird, just like Shrek did in early versions. After a bunch of tries, I locked his look at this stage because I had way more things to do. And I love that the comments still found their own version of him. People kept saying that he looks like Rachel Zegler or Markiplier, which honestly hilarious. I also gave him an LF belt like Louis Vuitton, but Lord Farquaad, because his ego is basically the whole character. The Dulek guards are his support team. Classic knights, but with the giant speaker in the chest. That one detail instantly makes them feel like hard techno walking sound system. Fairy Godmother and Roy the Safe Fairy. Basically a second biggest love couple in the series, even if it's most likely one-sided from his side. If you ever played Shrek 2, you have probably seen Roy. He is the safe fairy that saves your game. In my video I turned him into an FPV drone operator and basically the drone itself. I used to see FPV drones filming crowds in clubs, so I've decided to bring that idea into the Shrek universe. Both of them are MetaHuman, but the wings are separate custom rig I made in Maya. In Sequencer, the wings are attached to a spine bone and animated separately, so they feel like a real living wings on top of a MetaHuman body. And one more thing, people in the comments said Roy looks like Tony Soprano. I did not plan that at all, but now I cannot unsee it as well. Charming and Doris is basically the same pipeline, so I'll keep it short. Both are MetaHuman with custom outfits, and the whole point was styling. Charming is like tracksuit but still royal, and I added a simple fulcrum on his cloak. Doris has a chaos cloth skirt. I should have baked it, but it worked fine here, so I just let it run. Dragon is one of those characters that is not MetaHuman at all, obviously, right? It is a full custom creature setup, different proportions, wings, and a totally different rig logic. I kept her more as a vibe character on the foreground and in the background, and the way she enters the dance hall as the biggest character in the rave already says enough. It was one of the most complex model I animated at the very end of the project, and that felt overwhelming. Speaking of feeling overwhelmed, right before releasing every part, I felt intense inner pressure just because of the amount of edits, back and forth, revising the video, trying to make it all work. I remember the third part had something like 60 plus versions, the second part had like more than 75 versions, if not 100. At some point it felt like I'm on the edge and I'm gonna abandon this project or it's not gonna work at all. Like, you know, these moments of quite low self-esteem right before you need to put your work out. Like your anxiety spikes like crazy. But anyway, I did it and I'm proud that somehow this project ended up working so well. So we'll get to one of the latest characters that are quite random. And you might ask, who is this random villager? He is a callback to the first Shrek movie, to that whole villagers raid the ogre moment. I also had this character in my first Shrek video, but I still liked him, so I brought him back and I made him useful. I gave him a flashlight, so now he's literally the guy lighting the way for Gingy and Sugar. Vehicles. Oh yeah, I count them as characters I mentioned previously because they have rig, they move, and they are part of the story. The first one is GMC Sierra, the swamp pickup from Road to Techno. I tweaked it a little bit so the main cast can actually fit inside because they're pretty tall, especially Shrek. Then I pushed the look with materials and dirt decals to make it feel like a real swamp ride into Duloc. Then we have the charming car, the Bel Air. I basically treated it like Shrek-style parody branding, changed the logo details, added the crown and a little butterfly wings, and of course gave it a custom plate. And my favorite one is Gingy's little e-bike. That one is fully my freestyle idea, built from scratch out of candy and cookie parts. It feels super stylish to me, and I know I will reuse it again. And yeah, this is basically how Shrek Forever Rave was made. Huge thanks to everyone who supported me through this path with their feedback, my friends, the people that are close to me, because this project was quite a huge for a solo person. And this is not the end. Once I have enough ideas and gags, I will probably make another part. And if this video will blows up at some point, or for a random reason, I guess I'll have to do it sooner. Thank you for watching, bye bye.